Some trees on this planet have been alive since before the pyramids were built. Others have survived disasters that wiped out entire cities. And a few are so strange, scientists still can't fully explain how they exist. These living giants have watched empires rise and fall, outlasted wars, and kept growing through it all. Today, we're counting down 25 of the most incredible trees ever discovered on Earth. Number 25. The strangler fig of Ta Prohm. Deep in the Cambodian jungle sits a temple called Ta Prohm, built in 1186 by King Jayavarman VII. 80,000 people once worked there. Then the Khmer Empire collapsed, the temple was abandoned, and the jungle moved in. Silk cotton trees and strangler figs took root in the mortarless stones, pushing through the walls like slow-motion explosions. Today those trees are doing something strange. They are simultaneously destroying the temple and holding it up. Archaeologists confirm that if the trees were removed, entire sections would collapse within hours. Tomb Raider fans will recognize the spot. This is where Angelina Jolie crawls through the ruins in the 2001 film. UNESCO added it to the World Heritage List in 1992. Number 24. The dead trees of Deadfly. In the middle of the Namib Desert in Namibia sits a cracked white clay pan filled with black, twisted trees that have been dead for roughly 900 years. They are called the camelthorn trees of Deadfly. 9 centuries ago, a river fed this valley, and a forest grew here. Then the climate shifted. Massive sand dunes rolled in, blocked the river permanently, and every tree died. However, the air is so brutally dry that bacteria and fungi cannot survive there. So the trees never rotted. They just stood there, scorched black by the sun for 900 years, turning into natural sculptures. At sunrise, when the orange dunes light up behind the black skeletons, photographers fly in from every continent to capture it. Number 23. The Jindai Sakura. In the village of Jisoji in Yamanashi, Japan, stands a cherry blossom tree called the Jindai Sakura, and it has been blooming every spring for roughly 2,000 years. Japanese legend claims it was planted by Prince Yamato Takeru, a 12th-generation descendant of the founding emperor. It stands about 33 feet tall, and its trunk has a circumference of over 36 feet. For most of the year, it looks like a dying hollow husk barely clinging to life. But for about 10 days every April, it explodes into pale pink blossoms, and thousands make the pilgrimage to watch it. The Japanese government designated it a national monument in 1922. For 2,000 springs in a row, it has never missed a bloom. Number 22. Hemama Marimanu. In Andhra Pradesh, India, there is a single banyan tree that holds the official Guinness World Record for the largest tree canopy on Earth. Its canopy covers 5.5 acres, about the size of 3 soccer fields combined. This is one tree. The whole thing is supported by almost 4,000 aerial roots that drop from its branches to the ground and turn into new trunks. Local legend says it sprouted from the funeral pyre of a woman named Timama in 1434, who threw herself onto her husband's cremation fire. The tree is now roughly 550 years old. Thousands of couples visit every year believing that praying beneath it will help them conceive a child. Number 21. The olive tree of Vouves. On the Greek island of Crete, in a village called Anovouve, stands an olive tree that scientists estimate is between 3,000 and 4,000 years old. Its inner rings are completely gone, hollowed out by millennia of growth, which is why the exact age cannot be confirmed. However, the surrounding soil has been dated, and the tree was already a seedling during the Mycenaean civilization. And here is what breaks people's brains. It still produces olives. Every single year, locals still harvest them and press them into oil. In 2004, branches from this exact tree were cut and used to make the victory wreaths awarded to marathon winners at the Athens Olympic Games. Number 20. The Ashikaga Wisteria. At the Ashikaga Flower Park in Tochigi, Japan, there is one single wisteria plant that is over 160 years old, and its canopy covers nearly half an acre. During its blooming season in late April, millions of light purple flower clusters, some almost 3 feet long, pour down from a custom-built steel trellis engineered to hold the weight. The blooms are so heavy that early attempts to let the plant stand on its own actually failed. Standing underneath it feels like walking inside a purple rainstorm paused in mid-air. CNN named the park one of the top 10 dream travel destinations in the world in 2014, and the anime Demon Slayer visually referenced this exact wisteria. Number 19. Methusela the bristlecone pine. Hidden somewhere in the ancient bristlecone pine forest in the White Mountains of California stands a tree that is officially 4,857 years old. Its name is Methusela, and the United States Forest Service refuses to tell anyone where it is. No signs, no markers. That is because in 2021, photos of the exact tree leaked online after being found in a National Geographic archive, and the Forest Service has been terrified of vandals ever since. Its age was confirmed in 1957 when dendrochronologist Edmund Schulman counted 4,789 rings from a core sample. The wood is so dense that bacteria cannot decompose it. Number 18. The dragon blood tree. On Socotra Island, a chunk of Yemen floating alone in the Arabian Sea, grows a tree that looks like something out of a Dr. Seuss book. It is called the dragon blood tree, and its branches form a perfect upside-down umbrella shape. The real reason for its name is what happens when you cut it. The tree oozes a deep red resin that ancient cultures used as medicine and dye. Stradivarius himself allegedly used dragon's blood resin to varnish his violins in the 1600s. UNESCO declared Socotra a World Heritage Site in 2008. However, recent cyclones have uprooted thousands of mature trees, some over 500 years old, and invasive goats eat nearly every young sapling. Number 17. The Great Banyan of Kolkata. At the Acharya Jagadish, Chandra Bose Indian Botanic Garden in Kolkata, India, stands a banyan tree that looks like an entire forest. It covers about 4 acres with over 3,500 aerial trunks. Here is the crazy part. The original main trunk was struck by lightning in 1925, then hit by 2 cyclones, and had to be surgically removed to prevent rot from spreading. The tree you see today is composed entirely of its secondary and tertiary trunks. The parent is gone. The offspring became the organism. Experts estimate it is around 250 years old, but the canopy is so dense that a small family can get lost inside it for hours. Number 16. The Crooked Forest of Poland. Just outside the Polish village of Nowe Czarnowo sits a grove of roughly 400 pine trees, and every single one has a 90-degree bend at the base. They all curve the same direction, north. The trees were planted around 1930. Nobody knows why they are shaped that way. The most popular theory is that local farmers manipulated the young saplings so the bent wood could be used for curved furniture or boat ribs. But there is a massive problem with that theory. The farmers who supposedly did this were killed or displaced during World War II, and they never returned to harvest the trees. The mystery has never been solved. Number 15. The Tree of Life in Bahrain. In the middle of the Arabian Desert in Bahrain, standing completely alone in a wasteland of empty sand, stands a single mesquite tree that is over 400 years old. It is called the Shajarat al-Hayat, or the Tree of Life. It is the only tree for over a mile in every direction. No river, no natural spring, no visible water source. Scientists are still not completely sure how it survives. The leading theory is that its root system extends over 160 feet underground and taps into a hidden aquifer. Local legend offers a different explanation. Bahrainis say this is the actual location of the biblical Garden of Eden, and the tree is the last remnant of it. Number 14. the major oak of Sherwood. In Sherwood Forest in Nottinghamshire, England, stands a massive English oak estimated to be between 800 and 1,000 years old. It is called the major oak, and folklore claims Robin Hood and his merry men used its enormous hollow trunk as a hideout from the Sheriff of Nottingham. Whether that is history or myth, the hollow is real. Multiple adults can fit inside at once. The tree weighs an estimated 23 tons, its canopy spans about 92 feet, and its branches are so massive that forestry workers have installed steel cables to keep them from snapping off. In 2014, the Woodland Trust named it England's Tree of the Year in a public vote. Number 13. The Monkey Puzzle Tree. In the Andes, mountains of Chile and Argentina, grows a tree that scientists literally call a living fossil. It is the Araucaria araucana, better known as the monkey puzzle tree, and fossil records show its exact species has existed for about 200 million years. That means it watched the dinosaurs rise, rule for over 100 million years, and go extinct. The name comes from a 19th century joke that climbing the tree would puzzle even a monkey, because its branches are covered in razor-sharp triangular leaves that can slice human skin open. The tree can grow over 130 feet tall, and its cones weigh nearly 4 pounds. The Chilean government declared it a national monument in 1976. Number 12. The Rainbow Eucalyptus. In the Philippines, Indonesia, and parts of Hawaii grows a species of tree that looks impossible. It is called the rainbow eucalyptus, and its bark peels off in strips throughout the year, revealing brilliant streaks of green, blue, orange, red, and purple underneath. The photos are not filtered. The effect happens because each new layer of bark exposed to air starts out bright green, then slowly oxidizes through blue, purple, orange, and finally deep maroon before peeling off. Different patches shed at different times, so the trunk ends up looking like a living mural. Rainbow eucalyptus trees can grow up to 240 feet tall, sometimes reaching 100 feet in under 10 years. But flashy colors are easy. Surviving 400 years of hurricanes takes something else. Number 11. The Angel Oak of South Carolina. On Johns Island, just outside Charleston, South Carolina, stands a southern live oak tree that is between 400 and 500 years old. It is called the Angel Oak, and it is one of the oldest living things east of the Mississippi River. It stands 66.5 feet tall. Its trunk has a circumference of 28 feet, and its single longest branch stretches 187 feet from tip to tip, which is longer than a blue whale. The canopy alone shades over 17,000 square feet of ground. The tree survived Hurricane Hugo in 1989, which devastated the region. Roughly 400,000 visitors come to see it every single year. Number 10. The Sandbox Tree. Native to the Amazon rainforest and parts of Central America, Hura crepitans, better known as the sandbox tree, is covered in dense cone-shaped spikes that make its trunk look like a medieval weapon. That is not the worst part. This tree has earned the nickname the dynamite tree because when its pumpkin-shaped seed pods ripen, they literally explode. They fire their seeds at 160 miles per hour, spreading them up to 330 feet from the parent tree. That is faster than a major league fastball and louder than a gunshot. And the sap is toxic. Indigenous Carib tribes used it for centuries to coat poison arrows and stun entire schools of fish. Number 9. The Dark Hedges of Northern Ireland. In County Antrim, Northern Ireland, there is a rural road lined with European beech trees that were planted in the late 1700s by the Stuart family to impress guests arriving at their estate. More than 250 years later, those trees have grown into each other and formed a twisting natural tunnel that looks ripped straight out of a fantasy film. Only about 90 of the original 150 trees remain standing today. HBO's Game of Thrones used the dark hedges as the King's Road in its very first season, and tourism absolutely exploded afterward. So many people started visiting that local authorities had to ban cars from the road to protect the root systems. Number 8. The President. In Sequoia National Park in California grows a giant sequoia named the President, and its statistics almost do not register as real. The tree is roughly 241 feet tall. Its trunk is 27 feet wide at the base. Scientists estimate it is around 3,200 years old. It holds approximately 54,000 cubic feet of wood, making it the third largest tree on Earth by volume. In 2012, National Geographic led a 32-day mission to capture the entire tree. The final composite image was stitched together from 126 separate photos. The tree has an estimated 2 billion leaves, more than any other tree ever measured. Number 7. The Boab Prison Tree. In the Kimberley region of Western Australia stands a massive hollow boab tree that colonial police reportedly used in the 1800s to hold Aboriginal prisoners overnight while transporting them to trial. The tree is estimated to be over 1,500 years old, and its trunk has a circumference of roughly 46 feet. Historians still debate whether prisoners were actually held inside, but the local Jaru and Kija Aboriginal peoples consider the tree sacred. Boab trees store thousands of gallons of water in their swollen trunks, which is how they survive in the Australian outback where it barely rains for most of the year. Early European explorers assumed they were growing upside down. Number 6. The Yamaki Peace Tree. At the United States National Arboretum in Washington, D.C., behind glass, sits a Japanese white pine bonsai that is 400 years old. It was first collected by the Yamaki family in 1625. But here is the story that makes it legendary. On August 6, 1945, when the United States dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima, the Yamaki family lived only 2 miles from ground zero. Their home was shielded by a thick garden wall that somehow survived the blast. The family survived, and the bonsai survived. In 1976, Masaru Yamaki donated it to the United States for the bicentennial, and he never mentioned its Hiroshima connection. The Arboretum only learned the truth in 2001 when Yamaki's grandsons visited. Number 5. General Grant. In Kings Canyon National Park in California stands a giant sequoia called General Grant. It is the second largest tree on Earth by volume, right behind General Sherman. General Grant is 268 feet tall. Its ground-level circumference is 107 feet. It is roughly 1,650 years old. On April 28, 1926, President Calvin Coolidge officially declared it the nation's Christmas tree. Then, in 1956, President Dwight Eisenhower designated it a national shrine, making General Grant the only living thing in the United States officially recognized as a memorial to American war dead. Every December, park rangers still lay a wreath at its base. Number 4. The Lone Cypress. On a rocky granite outcrop along the 17-mile drive at Pebble Beach, California, grows a single Monterey cypress tree directly out of the stone, 30 feet above the crashing waves of the Pacific Ocean. It is called the Lone Cypress, and it has been standing there for roughly 250 years. It has survived storms, salty sea spray, constant erosion of the rock beneath its roots, and millions of curious tourists. The tree is only about 23 feet tall, but its resilience has made it world famous. The Pebble Beach Company trademarked its silhouette, making the Lone Cypress one of the most legally protected tree images on Earth. In 2019, a major storm snapped off one of its main branches. Number 3. Gran Abuelo. In southern Chile, in the Alerce Costero National Park, stands a Patagonian cypress called Gran Abuelo, which translates to great-grandfather. In May 2022, a Chilean scientist named Jonathan Barichevich released a study estimating the tree at 5,484 years old. If that number holds up, Gran Abuelo would be the oldest individual tree on Earth, older than Methusela by over 600 years. The study gave an 80% probability that the tree is at least 5,000 years old. Jonathan's own grandfather was a park ranger who first documented the tree in 1972. Jonathan grew up visiting it as a child. Number 2. The Tree of Tenere. In the middle of the Sahara Desert in Niger stood a solitary acacia tree called the Tree of Tenere. For roughly 300 years, it was the only tree within 250 miles in any direction. Its roots reached 100 feet underground and tapped into a hidden aquifer. Nomadic caravans used it as a navigation landmark, and it was so important that the tree appeared on European military maps and Michelin road maps. Then, in 1973, a Libyan truck driver who was reportedly drunk somehow crashed his truck directly into the only tree for 250 miles in any direction. The tree was killed instantly. The remains were transported to the Niger National Museum in Niamey, where they still sit on display. But now, the strangest tree on this list, the one that will rewrite your definition of a tree. Number 1. Pando, the trembling giant. In Fish Lake National Forest in Utah, there is what looks like a 47,000-tree aspen grove spread across 106 acres. It is not a forest, it is one single tree. Every one of those 47,000 stems is genetically identical, and they are all connected underground through one massive shared root system. The entire thing is a single living organism named Pando, which is Latin for eye spread. Pando weighs roughly 13 million pounds, making it the heaviest known organism on Earth. Scientists estimate its age at between 16,000 and 80,000 years old. It watched mammoths walk past it during the last ice age. But Pando is dying. A 2018 study found it has stopped reproducing because deer and elk are eating every young shot. Conservationists fenced off 84 acres in 2024 in a desperate attempt to save it. If Pando dies, we lose what may be the oldest living organism ever discovered. From ancient giants to impossible survivors, these trees have seen it all. One bleeds red, one explodes seeds, and one Pando is dying. Which one shocked you the most? Drop the name in the comments. If you found the video interesting, hit the subscribe button and tap the video on screen right now.